loreheads, and welcome to the League, exploring the League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John. I didn't realize you were going to start right up.
I did that on purpose.
And my name's Mark.
And John's drinking whiskey.
I was mid-drink.
Yep. And today we're talking about the Blade dancer Irelia, who was released November 16th, 2010. Well, the first Irelia was. I feel like she's been redone so much.
Right.
I don't even know her anymore.
Yeah.
When was the last big rework? Was it like 2018? I think that's when they released like the re-release cinematic for her.
That feels about right, yeah.
The champion reveal. Let us introduce you to this brand new character. Have you heard of her?
And they're gonna do it again, apparently.
God,
Can't figure out Irelia.
It is wild how big of a fucking problem balancing her is for them. I don't know, it's really funny to me that they just like,
right?
It's like Rise. Her and Rise are really funny to me. I don't know.
No.
Something about them.
Yeah. I was afraid I was going to have some bias going into this because I so despise playing against Irelia that I had a little bit of like, fuck you, right away.
Did it taint your reading?
No.
Sounds like
but
it did.
I didn't feel much for her at any point, I think. Although I'll say, okay, so Irelia has, just on the Riot Universe page, a bio, a short story, and a video of her rework. That's the only video they decided to attach, despite her being featured in several videos.
Right? Including, arguably, the best cinematic. At least top two.
The Awaken one.
Yeah.
The Dominion cinematic. Fuck yeah.
The Dominion.
So good they couldn't release it.
Rework. Really.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that is weird, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, we'll get into the bio in a minute, but I didn't realize that her whole shtick was, like, she dance fights.
Yeah. Because
I don't get that from her gameplay. Maybe I need to pay more attention to her, because I'm always just screaming while I run away from Irelia.
No, that wasn't always the case, right? Like, was that the case back in the, like, original Irelia? I know she controlled the blades, but was it like a dance thing?
It was not. And don't you worry, I've got some info about it.
Cannot wait.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because I kind of agree with you, actually. I like the idea of it. It makes me think of like a Camille, I guess. And I would like to see them two have a little thing, I guess. Just in terms of like maybe an action piece would be fun, because they both fight in that kind of way. But yeah, it doesn't read in her gameplay, I don't think.
No.
Does anyone have some fun quotes?
Oh fuck! I didn't even listen to her.
Oh, I didn't either. I can't do it at all. I did. She does have fun quotes. She's got a lot of VO. I liked one that was like, "I've never killed a person, just a lot of Noxians." This was like,
shit!
I like that.
Although, I mean, technically untrue. She's killed a lot of Ionians too.
I guess that's true.
My blade is at your service.
That wasn't my impression. Was it good?
Oh god damn! It was like she was right here.
Thank you. Yeah. I didn't know what I was trying to think of what she sounded like. I know that she yells stuff at me sometimes right before I die.
I will cut you down.
Ionia! Something like that. I think she yells at it some point, like Garen.
I'm about to cut your wind. Wait, not like that. I meant my blade's going to. Never mind.
She has a fart joke quote?
You bet she does, and I had to write that shit down.
Why?
It's to Jana.
Everything about Irelia is so serious, and then she has this fart joke quote.
You can't be a successful champion without a fart joke or two. That's what I've learned in my experience.
Releases wind from every orifice of his
they
body.
They were channeling that in the See, that's why the event was bad, because Irelia should have had the fart joke.
Right?
In keeping with the character.
And she could have blown the mist away.
Man, okay, that's somebody has written that.
Now I'm thinking of a different kind of joke.
So who wants to take us into the bio?
I can do it. I got the notes on it. It's kind of a long bio. It's like over... I didn't count the number of Heimers, but it's like 750 words. It's kind of a long one for how these normally go.
I was just going to be like, this wasn't long at all, but after, I guess, like, Heimerdinger and everything, like, this was a novella, comparatively.
Well, normally the ones that we look at kind of clock in around maybe like between 300 and 500, 550 kind of. So on the 750 is kind of tipping it, I kind of find. And it's like a full robust backstory, I guess.
Yeah.
It kind of feels its length. Anyway, so to summarize it, her full name, we get her full name is how would y'all say this? Zan Irelia?
Yes, either Zan or Zan, I'm not sure. One of the two probably blew my fucking mind.
That her name's not Irelia.
I had no idea that she had a first name or that Irelia wasn't her first name.
I guess, well, I think it's done in that her... Go ahead, Rebecca.
Her province she was from like the Zan province.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say because they call isn't it the Zan family?
It's gotta be Zan, right? They wouldn't put Zan and then Zan spelled a different way, so it's gotta be Zan.
Oh, Zan. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I think it's Zan. There's a character on Farscape called Zan, so that's all I can read it as. But yeah, you're right, Rebecca. That's the family name. The surname is the first one. So Aurelia is still kind of how we would think of a first name. It just comes second.
Yeah, I don't know what you would call that, but yeah.
I know there's probably a word for it. Anyway, so that's her full name. We've learned deep lore bombs going off. So she grew up in her province with her family, like a coastal province, I think, and she grew up learning and loving to study the traditional Ionian silk dances. And she ends up going to study the dances at the Placidium, the placenta. At Navori.
Well, no, Mark, she doesn't go to the placenta.
You don't know
she
that.
She comes from the placenta.
I know how babies are made.
That sounded different. Okay.
Anyways, she goes to study dance at the conservatory. All right, that's what she goes to do. And then the first Noxian...
she comes from the placenta.
Exactly.
I'm so sorry. I'm not going to let you get through this bio.
It's fine. It's my fault, right? I shouldn't have talked about placentas. Anyway, so she's a young kid. The Noxians invade, and her family home is kind of laid waste to, and her family's killed. And during that, her crest, the Zan family crest, is shattered by this Noxian called Admiral Ducal. And in that moment, she kind of channels... She starts to do the dance fighting, is when she suddenly kind of channels the spirit of Ionia and, uses the shards of the family crest to cut down some Noxians and run away. And she ends up joining the Ionian resistance. She, helps defend the Placidium years later against Swain, who was trying to set a trap, but she manages to get free and cut his hand off, and that kind of signals the turnaround of the whole war. And eventually they win to a degree, at least, and kind of throw the Noxians off most of their shores. And Aurelia at this point is now like this very famous leader of Ionian military efforts, and is kind of now stuck dealing with the aftermath, where there's various factions kind of trying to figure out how to move forward, and everyone is kind of looking to her, and that's the setup for her character essentially.
Yeah, I really didn't know anything about Aurelia. I didn't know that she fought with like the broken shards of her family crest that she like can. I knew she could hover them around her because I watched her kill me with them so many times, but I didn't know what they were.
Yeah, it makes it even weirder that she replaced them with some Sentinel weapons.
Oh yeah, yeah. You guys did talk about that kind of, but yeah, that's I don't think she would do that. At least not so quickly.
Yeah, it does. I mean, we don't know the mechanics of how the blade dancing works, but there seems to be a very strong connection, right? So it's just weird that they just have these other weapons, right? Because they, on top of not just being like a bunch of shards that you would fling around with blade dancing, they have to be the relic weapons too that stop the ghosts or the ghouls or whatever. It doesn't make sense. Just another thing.
Like everything else in that event, it doesn't make sense.
I did notice immediately that General Ducal is clearly no General Cyrus. If General Cyrus had taken over this village, he would have tried to recruit Irelia for sure.
It's honestly a fair point.
That's true. Yeah.
She wasn't there, I guess, to be fair. Remember, she's studying at the conservatory when she hears that this has happened, so she comes to see what's going on.
She does come back though when they almost kill her. They order her killed when she tries to fight them.
Yeah, because she came back and her family was dead, so she's like, I'm gonna fucking get y'all. And they're like, all right, let's kill this one too.
Yeah.
It was interesting seeing Noxus as a villain again, because I think it's been a little while since we've been on that side of it. Because even in Garen's story, I was like, you know what I mean? Like I understood it was from his point of view, but I wasn't seeing Noxus as like truly evil, but in this space, they're about to kill a child after murdering her family. That's pretty villainous.
Yeah. For sure.
And
I
like,
totally got that.
And like, especially in this version of the story, like they're specifically a very like pacifist family. Like it's not like this blade. It's not like this dancing had been used for like blade fighting in the past and she had been training to blade fight. It was like a very pacifist thing, and it was basically just that they wanted to use, you know, their family home as a quarters for their troops. And like, oh, well, I guess we got to murder these folks. They don't seem to be happy about this at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I guess that's interesting to note is that it talks about her joining the resistance before she can do the blade dancing, and it's just they're doing the dances as like a, I guess, like morale boost. I don't know, just to kind of preserve that piece of the culture.
She'd be like the drummer in the war, you
know? That's
like
exactly what I was thinking.
She's a guitar player in Mad Max Fury Road.
That would, man, you could definitely make that work with this whole blade dancing thing, and it would be cool to see more of that depicted somewhere, honestly.
Yeah.
But
I did like the line that was like, with this victory ensured that everyone in Ionia knew the name of Irelia. And immediately I was like, I had no fucking clue that her name was Irelia.
Well, you're not in Ionia.
Fair. But yeah, it's pretty funny. I don't know. I think this has a lot of potential. I was really surprised at how little she has written for her, I guess I would say, because I think there's a lot. Like, this is a whole arc for a character, and I thought it was really neat, the idea of, okay, we're going to start telling the story after this whole arc has gone on, and it's going to start here, where she's I was like, okay, that's cool, and I really want to see more of what Irelia does, but she's only got a little side story.
Yeah, this is something that, honestly, like, I would read, like, this novella. I feel like there's a good novella here.
I mean, in general, I find Ionia more interesting than, like, Demacia, so...
Sure. Anything with magic is more interesting than things without.
Than things that ban it.
Sure. I think Irelia, like I said, she's maybe the most potential of like a lot of the characters that we've gone through who hasn't been capitalized on, because she's in a really integral part of the whole conflict, and like I said, I think there's a lot of cool stories you could definitely tell with this character and how she's positioned, and it seems a damn shame that she just doesn't do much.
Yeah, she's a really classic setup for a story that it seems like Riot would really like. So I'm surprised they haven't done more, because there's a lot of tropes in here that are really classic and tropes for a reason, and they're just kind of sitting there.
Yeah.
I love the imagery too, by the way, near the end when she is at the stand of the Placidium, I guess it was called. When it said, a dozen of Swain's veterans fell, sowing chaos in their ranks as the other captives joined her, before she struck down the general himself. The sight of this rebellious girl hefting his severed arm over her head would be the turning point of the war. I just love the imagery of her just cutting off Swain's arm, and they're like,
they should have put that in that little video.
I wasn't picturing it so caveman-esque.
I was.
I was picturing it more like Lilo and Stitch, like something he might do or one of them might do, like a kind of wacky, like, yeah, you know.
I'm trying to think which one's worse.
This girl power scream. You know?
I was imagining her tying the arm onto one of her blades and then swinging it and hitting Swain in the face with his own arm and being like, why are you hitting yourself?
This is why you laughed at the fart jokes in her quote.
Because I have a great sense of humor.
I like the caveman Irelia setup. It's like 2001 Space Odyssey. Like, she's the ape that picked up the bone and it's just, whoa!
She summons Nar with the power of it.
Man.
Oh, that'd be great. You have one other note under the bio.
It's the feeling I got through because we mentioned she became kind of a sign of the rebellion, but ultimately she's not as interested. Like her ultimate goal, all things considered, if she could just dance, she would be happy. And I got just a very I just want to dance. I just want to do a little dance.
No boys tonight. I just want to dance it out.
Dance it out.
Wow, guys. That's Mark. That was a very
that's
old
specifically
Dane
what I
Cook
was
reference.
thinking of when I wrote that down for the record.
That is some
So I'm glad.
2001 Dane Cook right there.
Oh,
I just want
man.
to stand in a circle around our pocketbooks and shoes. Yeah, I remember. Shit. Okay, we're so fucking old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, the short story.
Yeah.
Sure.
So she is in Stains on a Name, which is also by John O'Brien. Her bio is also from John O'Brien.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to let Mark or Rebecca handle this one too, because I have so much old lore, and you should have got to get through.
Yeah, you were doing the archaeology. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
The
fine.
Tome Keeper Desolates over here.
That's your skin. All right. What happens in this one? This one's actually pretty short. It's kind of a shame that it's so short. But it does open with her, Irelia, kind of having vanquished this assassin who was another Ionian, kind of like you mentioned at the start. And he's not dead. He's like telling her, like, finish me. And reluctantly, but ultimately she does kill him. And then it just deals with her, follows her kind of cleaning off the blades and reflecting on, where she's at now versus how things all started. And then taking the body of the man she killed up to be buried and interacting with this old woman who's there and kind of talking about how, the ways that used to work for, Ionia as a whole kind of maybe won't work going forward, even if it means kind of having to resort to violence and things that maybe they would not have done in the past. And it's a pretty short thing.
I loved this old lady.
Yeah.
I wish more people had her perspective. So her quote is, "But the world's a different place now. What worked then don't work today. No point dwelling on it. See there?" She's trying to open a nut at this point, and she had to use a knife. "See there? Used to be able to open these with my hands alone. Now I need a knife. The young me would have fretted about it, damaging the nut like that. But that me don't matter, because she don't have to live in the here and now." I feel like we could solve so many problems in the world if people would just give up on outdated shit that doesn't work anymore. So you go,
Fair.
old Ionian.
Look at her living in the present.
Hell yeah.
This was okay. It was... I don't even know if it was what I expected. I don't really know what I think I expected a short story about something that we already saw with Irelia, so I'm glad that we didn't get that. But I was mostly just, like, confused. Why was this Ionian trying to kill her?
So this actually apparently
I was so
happens
confused.
a lot.
Okay.
The Navori Brotherhood kind
Okay,
of
I
wanted
kinda know
her
them.
to be their leader, but they're kind of an extremist
Sure.
group, and she was not all about it. So I mean, she does kind of like lead a resistance, but not quite as extreme as the Navori Brotherhood wants. So the Navori Brotherhood is all about killing her to get her out of the way.
Yeah.
God. Okay.
So they send assassins after her apparently all the fucking time.
If we
Yeah.
can't have you, no one can.
Yeah, essentially. I think there's probably some overlap between them and Zed's boys, the Order of Shadow, which I'm sure influences some of that too. But
The Zed's Boys Club. They got a
no
tree
Irelia
house.
is allowed.
Yeah, I did like the idea of her cleaning off all the little shards. I didn't really think about that she had to clean them off. Icky.
Yeah.
I do also like, I think a lot of the I don't know, I guess when I envisioned a lot of the dancing to control the blades, in my head it was more full body, but then seeing that she could control them pretty precisely using just her hands, if I were Irelia, I would straight up be like Magneto all the time, just like sitting on my blades and just like waving my hands to make them carry me around.
I feel like that image is not as impactful when it's her like helicopter, like whirligigging around with her blades or whatever. It's not being respectful to the crest.
Yeah, just stand on her family or sit on her family crest.
It's spinning. She's hovering.
That's why I would not be a successful Irelia.
How'd you feel about this story, Mark?
I thought it was. I liked it. I And you know what I liked is it's one of the stories where there's not just a bunch of action going on, and I think Riot finds success when they're telling stories that take place in the spaces around the action, right? Especially with characters like Irelia. It's just very short, I think, and I kind of just, like I said, I would want a lot more from her, or about her. So it's
I do like too that you get all three perspectives of what Ionia thinks about Irelia in this story. You get the Brotherhood, who thinks she's not extreme enough and they're trying to kill her. You get the purist Ionian, who's upset to even be around her and doesn't want her comforting because she's responsible for all the violence on Ionia. And you get this old lady who's like, yeah, it sucks, but like this is where we are right now, so let's do the best with what we got. So you kind of get all the different points of views about Irelia in this one story, which I like.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't really have any complaints. I think if anything else, it feels its length in that you can feel how short it is, and it's like I would like more time to kind of explore a lot of those perspectives and what it means for Irelia and what she's going through. So I guess that's kind of my biggest thing with it.
Yeah, I think that's where I got confused. It was kind of like Whiplash. I'm like, why is this old man mad at her now? They were trying to kill her. Was she just supposed to let them assassinate her? I don't understand.
I think I don't think that the old man knew that it was someone that had been assassinated. She had carried his body quite a while to bury it. I think he was just by the burial grounds where he had probably buried someone in his family that died as a result of the resistance that Irelia was leading.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, old man.
You know what Irelia reminds me a lot of? Not so specific to this. Sorry. You ever watch Deep Space Nine?
No, not really.
Okay, well, it's not gonna land.
Sorry.
Well, anyone who does,
I'm sure some of our
Kira.
viewers have though. So
Yeah.
So hit us with it.
Well, it reminds me a lot of Kira. Again, character who has spent a bunch of time in a resistance kind of state and is now dealing with the aftermath of that. I don't know. If you like DS9 or Star Trek, go watch it. I think that it's interesting, the similarities between the two. But that's all.
Is she the one that had kind of the spotted skin?
No, that's Dax.
I'm so close.
She got a nose prosthetic. She's like one of the classic Star Trek, like a human with a nose thing.
All right, I know that one. All right,
Sure.
all right.
Anyway.
Fucking nerds.
Yeah.
So, interestingly enough, Irelia is also part of a comic which is not linked on Universe, and it is technically not considered canon, though most of the contents in it still seem canon. The comic was called The Blade Dancer. Basically, it starts just like Stains on a Name starts. She's fighting an assassin. And they have kind of a big monologue about how they have to kill her, and she has to kill him instead. And she goes to the river to wash her blades and laments that she'll never be able to wash the stains from her blades. And then a woman named Dara comes and tells her how much she looks up to her and what a hero she is to those she protects, and not to lose herself in regret. The comic itself ends kind of abruptly, but we do actually get a lot of Irelia basically monologuing in her head about the toll that all of this is taking on her and what she'd rather be doing, and how she doesn't want to be a symbol. And it was an interesting story. I looked up Dara afterwards because I wanted to see if she came up. Again, we haven't made it this far, but we're about to. Dara is Karma's first name.
Oh.
Yeah. I did know that, actually, yeah.
Dara Karma?
Yeah, so Dara is Karma's real name, I guess, would be better.
Yeah, I
She's
was going to
kind of
say, is it more like
reincarnation
a...
of-
No.
Yeah.
I like Dara Karma.
And that could be why this is listed as not canon anymore. Maybe they didn't want Dara to have had this type of interaction with Irelia. To be fair, it doesn't look exactly like Karma. I feel like you could just say that this is a person named Dara. I'm sure it's not that uncommon a name in Ionia.
It's like Ionia's John.
But yeah, I actually liked this. I thought it gave a good introspective look at Irelia and kind of what she's dealing with as she's washing the blood off the blades, and also a good look at how a lot of people in Ionia do look up to her.
Man, I missed this, actually. I think I was pulling it up as you're talking about it, and I'm going to have to go look at it, because I think the art's real good that I'm looking at.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
And I don't know. I'm surprised. I didn't see this like linked even in the wiki when I was poking around. Maybe it's in the outdated lore section and I missed it, but it looks real cool.
Yeah.
So I'll check it out.
Yeah, where'd you find it, John, if people wanted to look at it?
It was on the wiki. I'm pretty sure it was in the old lore section of it.
Maybe that's why.
Although it's not old lore, because I mean, I'm going to get into the old lore. That is very, very different. This is still technically new Irelia lore. It might just not be perfectly aligned with, everything else that's now canon.
Weird. Because it's so
they
interesting.
do kind of talk about...
I was just going to say, it's interesting that it seems to be essentially the same as the short story, like the exact same events, essentially. So why not just link it? I don't know. It's strange.
Yeah, it's very weird. We haven't gotten to Soraka yet either, but I know the comic references Soraka as well. So my other thought was that maybe whatever they're talking about regarding Soraka in that story isn't canon anymore. But either way, I feel like this is still pretty solid Irelia lore. So I mean,
I think I'd
seek it out.
A lot of things get pulled without. It seems like thoughtlessly almost.
Yeah.
Maliciously. Said, "Oh, this looks good."
I wasn't gonna go that dark.
Very intentionally, thoughtfully.
Yeah, it's a real shame.
So those were the only kind of stories. I did write down in the Principles of Strength, she is referenced. She's called out as the Blade Witch of the Fey Archipelago, which I thought was a cool last name.
Yeah, she should go with that.
What was that one again?
The Principles of Strength was that story. It was like the Darius story where they that the brother and sister from that other town.
Okay, yeah, Swain would probably have some nicknames for Irelia.
Yeah. So she is also part of a few other comics. I'm not going to get into them in too much detail because one of them is Steadfast Heart, which we talked about a lot for the Ruination event. She's in issue 4 and 6. Whatever her arc here is that she joins up with the Sentinels real fast, despite Riven being a member already, and then fights some spirits in the final battle against Viego.
So you got had all said that Riven was a big part of things that had gone down with Irelia. Where was she? I didn't see her at all.
Not Aurelia's kind of upbringing. So I got kind of a bit of a timeline here too. When this all happened, when Irelia cut off Swain's hand, she was 14.
Yeah, I know she was young.
And in later invasions, I think she's whatever now is. She's like 24 now, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, she wasn't part of this invasion. She was kind of part of a different one, I believe, right?
So we never get that from Aurelia's point of view. Was that from Riven's point of view?
Yeah, we get the invasion from Riven's.
Okay. So I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
I was like, where's the animosity?
I don't think that they had... I could be wrong, but I don't think they had any sort of direct interaction. Well, obviously, they don't have a direct interaction in their backstories. It's just Riven is known for being, what was it, the Butcher of the Bay or something like that. So Ionians kind of just know her as a villain.
Yeah, because it was one of the things where a lot of people, it was a poison attack or whatever. A lot of people died on both sides. Riven's magical blade kept her alive, and then she deserted and hid out in Ionia a bit. So a lot of people in Ionia were probably more aware of her as being like the surviving Noxian of the attack that killed all those people.
Yeah. Although her blade does show up unbroken in that the one other thing that's linked on the universe page, which is that Defiant Blade little rework trailer. That's the word I'm looking for. Teaser, whatever. But in the weird kind of etching on what you would call exactly relief of Noxian soldiers, one of them has that blade. I don't know if that's supposed to be Riven or what, or if they hand those out. Like, I don't know.
That's like your 14th birthday party.
Right. Everybody gets a sweet ass rune blade. Now she is also part, and this one is an AU comic, but it's a comic nonetheless. And it was actually technically only released in China, but a fan translated it into English so that we have the English translation.
Ooh.
But this is called the Blade Dancing Immortal, which is part of the Immortal Journal AU. Immortal Journey, not Journal.
I'm still not familiar with which one this is.
Yeah, this one is kind of the, I guess, mirrored a lot of the, what's it called, the Journey to the West type storylines.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay,
this one
so like
tells
the
the
Radiant.
story. Yeah, it's this one is Divine Sword Irelia, for the record. But it tells the story of Divine Sword Irelia, who is a demigoddess in this AU, dueling and defeating Enduring Sword Talon, who is a dragon king of the South Seas. She beats him pretty bad, and in his anger, he lashes out at her after the duel's over. So, in response, she seals his dragon powers inside her own blades and then forces him to live among the mortals.
Very anime.
It is very anime. And in her backing animation for this skin, you can even like see the dragon powers that she siphoned from Talon swirling around her and like kind of resisting her too, since they're not hers.
Oh, that's neat. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
God damn, Irelia has a lot of skins, huh?
She does have a lot of skins. She is also part of several cinematics. We talked a little bit about the Irelia the Defiant Blade one. This is basically just the champion teaser for the last rework of hers.
The latest.
Yep. The latest in a long line of reworks. We don't learn a whole lot new. We just kind of learn more, what we already learned from the bio. She's also part of Awaken, which is super cool. Mm-hmm. This is at the start of the Second Noxus-Ionian War. And I got a little bit of background, actually, about the beginning of this cinematic for context. So the beginning, it kind of opens with her holding some glowing petals, and there was a bunch of petals rising into the sky. Apparently that was her actually signaling for help for the upcoming battle. And that's why the big climactic finish at the end, where all those other people showed up, like Karma, Yasuo, Akali, and Kennen, they were actually responding to her call from the beginning of the video.
Okay, so it's not like they were just hanging around waiting.
Right.
Actively.
They weren't there, and then she was like, "Oh shit."
So the up-to-date Runeterra, where Runeterra is now in canon, I guess. There's another war with Noxus. Is that what's happening?
I thought you said Warwick Noxus. I was like,
No.
wait, what? Yeah, there's another. Yeah,
Like Noxus is officially now trying again with Ionia.
they're having another go.
They're having another go.
Yeah, this
I
was
hope
something
they
that was a
don't win.
little unclear to me, was whether that was actively happening now, or is that something that is to happen in the future? Like, I know
Because
that
they're also attempting the Freljord again, from what we know from Noxus. So they seem a little stretched
Yeah.
thin, y'all. Where are you going?
yeah, which seemed to be the big issue last time.
Right?
But I don't know. Maybe they've
This
got
is
it
what happened
figured
with
out.
Borm Darkwill in the first place. Come on.
Maybe he's got it figured out. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's something I'll have to go and poke around to try and find some clarity on.
Now, she's also featured in the Phoenix music video, which was the World's 2019 anthem. This basically shows the story of pro players having to overcome their demons in order to rise to the top. And it is shown by champions basically fighting shadow versions of themselves. The Irelia bit is Caps, known for his Irelia. And, yeah, Irelia fighting Shadow Irelia. Irelia wins!
Thank goodness.
And,
Otherwise, Caps would have been killed.
yeah.
In real life.
That's how it
IRL.
It's a bop. You should listen to it. All their anthems
I'm
rock.
sure. I'm sure. They have.
What if they haven't?
That's fair.
Nobody listens to those. And most importantly, she's part of the Dominion trailer. This is old pre-work Irelia, who her sole role in this trailer is to use her ult to clear a minion wave
Her old ult.
and then get killed by a single Cassiopeia QE combo.
She goes down like a sack of potatoes. It's great.
She doesn't even get ulted.
I wish
Yeah.
Irelia was that easy to take down.
Right?
She's not an AD carry.
And the final cinematic she's part of is Outsiders, which is a project cinematic. This is a band of cybernetic cast-offs who are planning to infiltrate the city to destroy the entity that created and then abandoned them, the Project Corporation. And it's a pretty short cinematic. It's just got a Kali, Irelia, Jinx, and Pike fighting together.
Solid.
Woo.
Was this pre or post rework? I don't remember. I didn't rewatch this one.
Is
she
Pike would have
dancing?
been post rework, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's post rework.
Yeah. Yeah, you're completely right then. Okay. It all mushes together in my brain.
I know, and I'm sure Pike is much older than I think, but
2012 somehow.
no, stop it. I know he's not that old.
Yeah, so I wrote down a few quotes of hers that I liked. She has a Frozen reference in her Frostblade skin.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that doesn't really make a lot of sense for her normal skin.
The cold? It never bothered me.
Cute. Fucking cute, right?
She's got a quote to Aurelian Soul. It just says, "In Ionia, we have over 200 species of talking dragons. Sorry, not impressed."
He's a space dragon, Irelia.
That shade.
He's so big.
Aurelian Soul. Sorry.
Oh. You're on to something.
That's their ship name when they inevitably fall in love.
Hate to love. Then she has a quote to Bard, too, that's just like, ugh, your songs are impossible to dance to.
Oh, God damn.
It's true. He's all on that experimental kick.
Acid jazz.
He needs his own groovy skin. We don't
He does.
enough
shocked he
groovy
doesn't have
skins.
one.
There aren't enough groovy skins.
Because there's just the one, I think.
God, is that going to be the next Riot supergroup? Is like a
groovy
jazz group?
Oh, I want like a 23 champion one that's like Parliament Funkadelic, where it's just every champion in the fucking games up on stage.
Oh, God, that would sound horrible.
The Riot ska band. And then she's got one towards Garion.
Garion.
Oh boy.
Irelia.
Garen, where she's like, Ionia! That's me, if I was you.
You do yell Ionia. I think you say something else after it, but Ionia is something. But
She does say a
says
lot
it.
of shit about Ionia.
Yeah, right. Like you're just
She's big
obsessed,
on it.
Ionia
bitch.
this, Ionia that.
Ionia. Anyway, you want to take us through that old lore or the AUs?
boy.
Yeah.
Let me swing you to some old lore.
This is John. The next 20 minutes, all you, baby.
Okay. So her original bio was actually really different. It wasn't like one of these bios where you just like, now all of a sudden they're not in the League of Legends. It's just something else. There's a lot changed in her old bio. So her father was Master Leto, an acclaimed swordsman, and he died to a suspicious disease and left behind his daughter Irelia, son Zelos, and a unique blade.
Oh.
He was kind of like a master swordsman who was, it was claimed that his blades could breathe in your hand.
Ew.
Which sounds kind of gross, but... So following that, Zelos joined the military, but left immediately prior to the Noxus invasion to request aid from Demacia, and Irelia was charged with protecting the homeland. Now, at the Great Stand of the Placidium, which still happened, Irelia wielded her father's sword, she wielded it just like a regular sword, just like holding in her hand sword.
Like swords are.
Like sword do. And rallied the troops. Unfortunately, at some point in the fight, she was cursed with dark Noxian necromancy. Is what
Oh,
they said.
fuck.
Excuse me?
Go on.
And
Can we bring whatever that is back?
as her life faded, Soraka intervened and anchored Aurelia's fading soul to the blade. So she rose up, and the sword rose with her, and they fought back the invasion with this new floating blade.
Huh.
And then Irelia was appointed captain of the guard, and when the defense of her homeland moved to the fields of justice, so did she.
Okay. That must be why that comic is not linked, I would bet now, is that it has to do with that soul binding shit that Soraka did, right? Or no,
This was
you
back
read
when
it.
Yeah, like in the comic, she still had she's got her current weapon, like
Okay.
not the weird ass old
Little
sword that
quad,
just split into
yeah.
4 pieces.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Huh. Interesting.
Now, Irelia was also from the time where she got a judgment.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Now, her judgment mentions her mantle of decorum, which is something that she used to have floating behind her back, which is considered the highest decoration an Ionian can receive. For reference, Karma still has hers. They're kind of the two that have one of these mantle of decorums, so you can look at current Karma to see what that used to look like. So she lost that in the visual update, but the remake team said that her blades now essentially serve as her mantle of decorum, so canonically she still has a mantle of decorum. It's just they're them now.
Okay. You say
also,
so.
Oh, I don't say so.
Yeah.
Papa Riot says so.
Also, it's definitely implied in, like, back in this old lore that despite the sword kind of being anchored to her soul and her being able to control it, that it has kind of its own sentience. There's a quote from the judgment that said, "The capricious swords dart ahead of her to the marble doors, halting beneath the inscription. There it shivers imperceptibly, emitting a high-pitched whine. Whether because of apprehension or excitement, it is unclear."
Oh, weird.
Yeah. I kind of remember this, and I remember thinking that I like that idea kind of more than how it is presented in her current lore, because I like the idea a lot of the swords sort of representing the temptation to overindulge in violence, right? And so giving them a desire, I think, helps with that.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, and that's kind of tied to, I guess, her old death animation, too, which is like, you know, her swords kind of go into her and seppuku her.
Yeah, they freak out and stab her. Yeah.
So, anyway, in her judgment, she basically finds herself on the roof of her childhood home, where her father, Master Leto, was basically disciplining her for not dodging his blades fast enough.
Jesus.
So he attacks, actually. Oh my god, I forgot about this. So he attacks by extending the cloth of his robes, which he uses to strike her and grab her from a great distance. It was like that classic, like, kung fu thing with, like, the robe arms that, like, extend super far and, like, used to grapple. And oh god, it makes me really wish that we had, like, a Master Leto champion.
Yeah, that's really fucking cool.
Yeah. So they're fighting. He basically grabs her and he pulls her into him and is about to hit her with a massive roundhouse kick, and Zelos intercepts, and the two of them, Zelos and Irelia, begin battling Master Leto together like a training exercise. In the end, Irelia is able to kick a blade into Master Leto's chest. And he's like, "Oh, Irelia, what have you done?" And Irelia's like, "Had enough." And Zelos is like, "Irelia, Dad's really hurt." And Irelia says, "Well, he does have a sword sticking out of him."
What the fuck?
And then Leto smiled and said, "Why do you want to join the League, Irelia?" Which is something they always say at the end of the old judgments.
What is this fever dream?
Right, that's judgments, BB. And then she says, "My home was destroyed because I didn't have the strength to protect it. I will fight to the bitter death before I let something like that happen to Ionia again." And then she does a little anime explanation about how she knew it wasn't really her father, because he would have never let her land a blow.
Fun.
Yeah.
Wow.
She also mentioned something wild in this scene where, like, she remembered the scene that, because essentially the judgments, the, like, summoners would get in your head and try to pull memories and, like, create shit around them. And she's like, "I remember that moment, and it was raining on that roof, and, you know, my father didn't even get wet, although his movements were imperceptible to the naked eye."
Okay.
Damn.
All right.
That is some animation. He's, like, vibrating so fast he can transmute through walls. Yeah, okay. That could use a little toning down. I can see why they didn't keep that part.
Take a breath.
I can see why we don't have a Master Leto champion. OP as fuck.
Yeah.
Like Riot cares about that.
Right. It's interesting that the names, like that name Leto, and I think even that brother name is mentioned in one of her quotes. Like, those seem to have kind of carried through.
Oh.
Like, her dad's name is still Leto. He's just dead now.
Yeah, and she has way more siblings than just Zelos.
Yes.
And they're all dead.
They're all
dead.
That's rough, buddy.
Yeah. She, in fact, well, this is a fun fact for later, but I'll skip ahead because we're on the topic. If she has full stacks of her Ionian Fervor passive, then her next 4 Qs that she casts, she'll have a chance of saying all the names of her dead siblings as she's dashing from person to person.
Jesus.
That's pretty cool. That's like my kind of edgy.
Yeah.
No champion needs 4 fucking dashes, Riot. Can we take that?
She's got infinite dashes as long as there's low health people
It's not
around.
even her ultimate. Like, are you serious?
And now, finally, she has several entries in the Journal of Justice. In issue number 16, basically there's just like a question. They used to do like user-submitted questions, and somebody asked if she's heard from her brother since the war. She hasn't, in case you're wondering. Issue 18 is fucking wild. So, I don't have the whole context on this, but apparently, after Noxus invaded Ionia originally, there was a challenge to their occupation. And through a league match, Noxus won, so the league determined, no, their occupation is legal. And you can't challenge this occupation for 15 years.
Yeah.
So, about 7 years into the occupation, Irelia had pretty much had enough, and she garnered support from Demacia and got enough attention. And also, this was about the time where a monk from the Shojin monastery set himself on fire in protest of the occupation. So finally, the League decided to let them have a rematch. Now, this rematch and the subsequent Ionian victory is why the Ionian Boots of Lucidity exist in the game. Whoever won that actual match was going to have a item added to the game after the region. And it was an actual match that was played between 10 high-level summoners at the time.
What?
Yeah.
So the history of the lore was in the hands of these high-level summoners. I looked at the list. I didn't remember most of them, but I do remember Guardsman Bob was fighting for Ionia.
He was like
and
Udyr,
Roku
right?
was fighting for Noxus.
Man, that's wild. That's like ancient league names right there. Guardsman.
So did they have to play Ionian and Noxian champions? Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty fun.
It could be wrong. I think there were a couple that were not region specific that got in just to help kind of balance it out. Because I think especially League at the time, if you had just Ionian and just Noxian, you'd have these really warped teams. I could be wrong.
Yeah, there were some unaffiliated, I think.
This is where like the whole concept of mercenaries comes in. Where like, Ramus would show up and play for Nox. I think it was the case that he was on the Noxian side because they asked him and he just said okay because he's Ramus and that's all he says. But
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't say that. That's how you get conscripted into Noxian army.
Oh shit! I don't want to join your army. You don't want me to join your army. I'll make you brownies to eat before you go. But
you are selling yourself,
right?
Thanks.
So yeah, that happened.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
We do need more like just league matches to decide. Runeterra history.
I love it. I love this
hilarious.
Shit.
Because there's a random element to it, like D&D. That's really fun.
Sure.
Yeah, I liked when they did that. I mean, not too long ago with the AU stuff, and I think like if you're doing it in AU stuff anyway, like you might as fucking well. You got nothing on the line there.
Yeah, or do it for something that's like a little lower stakes, right? Instead of like Noxus Ionia.
Yeah. Like
that hostile occupation of peaceful people.
Exactly. It doesn't involve like war crimes and shit. Like
I didn't mention it, but like if you read that article too, the Noxians really try to make it seem like the Ionians are just being huge whiny babies about this. They're like, they'll have you believe that they're being mistreated, but this is a legal occupation. They're just really trying to drum up support.
This thing is so Deep Space Nine. I've got to say, if you like any of this crap, you should go watch DS9. Guy, the fucking Cardassian, who are the Noxians in DS9, essentially, they got a leader named Ducat, just like they got Admiral Duke.
Oh shit!
Yeah, Duke Call or whatever in here. So.
Damn.
There it is.
So this is just a rip-off of Deep Space Nine.
Is Is League of Legends just a Deep Space Nine fanfic?
Find out. Yeah, maybe. Well, I guess we'll have to explore that angle.
All right, so that's all we
That's
got for the
wild.
old lore. Now we've got some AU shit.
Let's go.
All right, she's
I
part
got the
of,
skins pulled up. I'm ready.
hell yeah. She's part of Snowdown Showdown, which is, the winter skin line. It's separated into the Poro King Court and the Winterland Inhabitants. For the record, Irelia and Annie, who's in this one, weren't actually part of the Snowdown Showdown skin line at
these
release.
are old.
They were just added in after the fact because they were frost themed, and now there's a Snowdown skin.
They didn't want to do a Frost AU, so fuck it.
Yeah. So this is Frostblade Irelia, an ice sprite hailing from the mythical Winterlands. Aurelia's demeanor is surprisingly stoic considering her mischievous brethren. Despite this, she aspires to one day serve in the court of the Poro King.
Okay.
And she's also in Order of the Lotus, which is set in an alternate Ionia where each champion is an Order of the Lotus member.
This one's so pretty. People don't play this one enough.
They don't. This is, unsurprisingly, Order of the Lotus Irelia. A chance encounter with the Order of the Lotus changed Aurelia's life forever as she opened her mind to the cosmic cycles of death and rebirth over many human lifetimes. She is still a fierce warrior, but now fights knowing her soul can never truly die. This skin line is basically just Irelia and Karma, and this is something that Karma kind of already had going on for her. So this is basically just an alternate universe where Irelia is now also a Karma.
Carmelia. Oh, man.
Camelia.
Oh, my God.
I had that song, that song got stuck in my head when we were talking about Karma. I was trying to find a way to work it in, but you nailed it, huh?
Nailed it. Now she's also part of Project. Among the megastructures and packed streets of a future controlled by global corporations, a shadow war rages between rebellious augmented humans and newly empowered artificial beings. The winners will shape the course of history, and the losers will be forced to evolve. So this skin line is separated into Project Champions, who are basically just mechanically augmented soldiers that protect Project, who created them. Genetic, who are augmented champions who have realized that Project sucks and is now fighting to take them down, and the Outsiders, who were champions who were considered failed augmentations by Project, and they were just straight up abandoned and dumped outside the city. So now they're also fighting to take Project down. And this one is Project Irelia, who is part of the Outsiders. A Project cast-off who found sanctuary in the lawless wastes, Irelia has led other outcasts like her as they attempt to survive corporate assassins, murderous old-world technology, and widespread ecological collapse. Knowing Warwick could destroy everything she holds dear, she joins the attack on the city to end Project once and for all.
Wait, Warwick? Is he the
so
big bad?
Warwick is a big-powered Project.
Okay. Interesting. I don't remember that from the other Project skins.
And there's also a prestige version of this skin. There are moments when Irelia and the other outcasts remember who they once were before Project exiled them into a wasteland filled with sand-blasted monuments to corporate greed. These memories are fleeting, the last flickering images of a long compromised humanity.
Nice. Nice and dramatic.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Now she's part of my favorite AU, High Noon.
I had no idea she had a High Noon skin.
I didn't
It's
either.
a pretty new one.
It came out in June 2020, so it's about a year old.
Okay. Now, at the height of the Industrial Revolution, travelers began pouring into the untamed West, searching for fortune and prosperity among the unknown horrors of cruel and ancient worlds. It is a time of brave
Are you having a stroke? Are you all right?
It is a time of brave gunslingers and rotten scoundrels, inscrutable gods, and savage demons. Got it in one. You can edit that out, right?
I can, but I won't.
Now this is High Noon Irelia, a fallen angel who escaped the destruction of heaven, now tainted by ineffable darkness. Irelia has spent years in hiding, thus her return alongside a newly resurrected Senna attests to the presence of powers who would see the heavenly kingdom restored, perhaps for the continued benefit of man, or perhaps for their final damnation.
Cool.
High Noon continues to be metal as hell.
Yeah.
Still fucking cool.
It's a cool looking skin too. Why don't people play it more?
I know, right?
Stupid
Yeah.
Irelia players.
If I had it, I'd play it. It's super cool. She's also part of Sentinels of Light. In case you didn't know,
No.
the Sentinels of Light are an ancient order of hunters originally formed on the
Ancient,
Blessed Isles. Its members are currently scattered across Runeterra, defending
they?
it from the undying wraiths of the Shadow Isles.
Where?
After defeating Viego, they must now stop Thresh as he's freed himself from the bounds of the Shadow Isles.
Just let them.
Now, for the record, I didn't know that they were actually doing that last bit.
No, me neither.
Yeah, I did not.
I didn't know that they were aware, because where they left off, like, Thresh was all still in the shadows or whatever.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure if they're aware either, but at some point they will become.
That's going to
guess.
be their next job.
Yeah.
Great,
I know we had
great.
talked about how they have, like, no goals now, but maybe they'll do that.
Yeah, I hope they don't.
So this is Sentinel Irelia. After the fall of the Ionian Grand Temple, Irelia could not stand idly by while her home was ravaged by the Black Mist. Deputized by the Sentinels, she fights the ruination as one of their comrades, a natural-born leader who understands the threat that ruined karma poses. She will stop at nothing to save the spirit of Ionia.
Now, the thing is, though, you're putting this under the AUs. John, this is canon.
Yeah.
That's
a
true.
damn shame. I had forgot that it was canon until you said that. Like, oh yeah, it's not an AU.
So they just got a fax. Like, oh, fuck, this is canon. Someone remember.
Yeah, like I don't want to complain too much about this because I think we've beaten that horse to death. But it is kind of wild
Keep
that such a crazy big event for this character just kind of like happens most essentially off screen, right? Like, you know,
Yeah.
there's nothing really exploring her grappling with having to like leave Ionia in that state, for example. That could be a whole story in and of itself. I don't know.
Right?
All right, now we know that she's fighting Noxus in Ionia, and she just dipped in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Well, John, you didn't
Yeah.
have to headbutt the microphone. Calm down.
Maybe you didn't have to headbutt the
I'm so
microphone.
fucking angry.
So she is also part of Silver Age, which is set in a world where each champion
What?
is a superhero/villain.
What?
And this one is Infiltrator Irelia.
What?
Using technologically superior cracking devices and hard light blades, Irelia's nefarious activity is surprisingly hard to follow. She's responsible for a string of heists and high-profile espionage missions. I think the comic book character she's supposed to be here is kind of a Catwoman-type character.
Yeah, it looks like it if
Okay.
you look at her skin. First of all, she can get it in the skin. But also, what the hell is the skin line? I don't think I...
Oh, yeah.
This is
there's
like,
a few that we've had. Darius had one of these, too.
Yeah. It's like comic book kind of heroes, right? Where like you got
Yeah.
Biotoxin Darius. I don't remember what the actual name of it was, but some stuff like
Yeah.
that.
That's
like-
not fun, though.
Yeah, shit like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Now, this is extra fun because there was an old promotion called The Heist for Safecracker Evelyn and Pickpocket Twitch, where Constable Trundle and Captain Volibear specifically have a picture of Irelia on the table with an X through it to show she's not a suspect in the heist. And she's also part of Immortal Journey, we talked about a little bit. Long ago, in an ancient land, many souls gathered beneath the gods to test the limits of their power. Foolish and arrogant, brave and just, their journeys are written into the immortal pages of history. So this is Divine Sword Irelia. Long ago, the demigoddess Irelia challenged a headstrong dragon king to a duel, defeating him before all the members of his assembled court. In his hubris, he lashed out at her, and in return she sealed his power within her sacred blade, so that he might find humility among humankind. And the
Okay.
last two, which, for the record, don't have AUs associated with them, but they do have unique lore blurbs about them, and one of them should be part of an AU, and it's not, and it crushed me. Crushed.
Sorry.
The first one is Nightblade. In exchange for the power to expel Noxus from Ionia, Irelia struck a bargain with an evil spirit, a decision that would prove costly when her humanity began to slip away.
Interesting.
And the last one is Aviator Irelia. How is this not part of Day Job?
I assumed it was going to be a part of Day
It
Job.
should be a part of Day Job.
I love this skin, by the way. It's just so unique, like, compared to all
Yeah.
the others.
Right?
And it's
It's
so
the one I
fucking
use
cute.
when I play.
It is the one you use, and I have, like, a mad crush on Aviator Irelia.
Jared Rosen, if you listen to this podcast, make Aviator Irelia part of day job.
We'll make an
few
Aviator
war pilots.
AU. That's what I was going to say.
that'd
Let's
be
make more
fun.
skins
There's
like
probably a
this.
few.
Yeah.
Few war pilots were as skilled as Irelia, whose flashy dogfighting earned her a place among the greatest soldiers in history.
Dog fighting?
It's like plane combat.
Oh my god, I thought you meant she was like arranging dog fights.
What? No.
Jesus Christ.
I love it.
My
She gets all
crush
dressed
was
up like
crushed.
Amelia Earhart. Or just to go fight.
I was just really confused. Fuck. Why do they call it that? What the fuck? Anyway, go ahead.
After the war, she continued to fly fighter planes, never once losing her spark.
That's great.
Well, because she's not a dog fighter.
And, she,
So,
and it says that at
Jesus.
the end, too. And she doesn't fight
She
actual dogs.
doesn't.
She does. Just to clarify.
That's funny.
So those are all the AUs. All I've got left are a handful of fun facts.
Go for it, hun.
Yep.
Just a few, because I feel like I've brought up a few of them already throughout the course of the episode. So, I mean, we'll just go number one. She's voiced by, I should have looked up the pronunciation of this, Sharami Lee? Does that?
Maybe. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't remember the spelling.
I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. The rework team mentioned that one of her original rework design ideas was that she was going to have 6 arms and hold a sword in each one of them.
Excuse me? That's
That would be
dope.
kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be, right?
General Kenobi. It's like,
Maybe that's why they didn't do it. She was nerfed before being released, which led to
that should have been a red flag, Riot.
led to the better nerf Irelia meme, where she continued to be nerfed. In case, I mean, it's been a little while, so in case you haven't been on the Reddit, or in case you're only on the Reddit now and weren't on at the time, anytime any champion was considered overpowered, Irelia would get hit with a nerf.
Yeah.
Unexplainable.
Someone has to be the sacrificial lamb, and I guess she is it.
Can we make it Viego now? Maybe Silas.
Can we make it I have a lot of champions I would love to make it.
Yeah. Action.
You can't nerf Silas. He just got buffed because he was too weak.
Fuck off.
But that's all I have for Irelia.
All right. Any final thoughts on Irelia besides our typical hashtag potential?
I
Yeah.
want to read the Irelia novella. The Novellia.
Thank you. There's been a lot of weird portmanteaus. I don't know what the
Right.
deal is.
Too many.
She lends herself to it.
I don't think you can have too many.
Portmanteau mini. Okay. No.
We're done.
Yeah, a lot of potential. I wish that the Blade Dancer stuff was communicated more in her design and her in-game stuff, because I think that the blades don't look like a shattered crest to me either. They look like blades, which is fine, but
For sure. Yeah, that stuck out. I will say I do kind of want to play her again and pay attention to her in-game animations, because I will say in the Awaken cinematic, I thought I did a pretty good job of the blade dancing aspect of that in her combat there. It was very, it was very graceful and very dancer-like movements. That was wonderful. I'm curious if that is actually in game and I just never noticed.
yeah,
I assume there's some
maybe that's the
aspect of
case.
it, but
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe I'll have to give it a second look too.
All right. That was it. That was Irelia.
as Irelia.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. We post these on YouTube if you ever want to chat there, and we are on Twitter at Loreheads. And join us next week, because we'll be talking about the Green Father. I can't get over the fact that that's his title.
Irelia's got a sick burn on him too.
Green Daddy.
She's in some forest, or some forest is missing its idiot, or some shit like that.
Oh my God,
Which
harsh.
seems a little mean.
Jeez. Well, we'll find out just how dumb the Green Father is next week when we talk about Ivern.